Co. From 7 to 9, come keep with the show. It's a new era. Let's get it, let's go. From 7 to 9, it's Tingle and Co. What up, Lloyd? What up, Lloyd? You can call me him. I'm Shay Dixon in the whip with them RPMs. Gotta pull up to the chat, yeah, shit out to them. Not trying to ball like Big 4, then get out the gym. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. When you see that notification, we about to go live. Hit this track and do your dance like you Karen Lacey. Run it back and turn Matthew to the house, baby. It's Tingle and Co. From 7 to 9, come keep with the show. It's a new era. Let's get it, let's go. From 7 to 9, it's Tingle and Co.
All right. Good morning. Welcome in here on this Wednesday, as we are getting through the week in this international edition of Tingle and Co. Once again, shout out to Lloyd and Andre back home in the studio, getting everything rolling for us this morning. Fellas, good morning. How are y'all?
Excellent, sir. How are you? It feels like this trip is flying by already.
It does. It does. It feels like it's going by pretty quickly. I'm a little red today. I don't know if y'all can see some of maybe the pigment on the skin, a little redness. But
do you tan or burn?
We'll see if I can get a little. I burn, but it turns into a tan. So technically I tan. Like I'll be pretty dark. So I'll get back out there today, see if we can even it out, because really right now it's just my face, because my chest is like splotchy because of the sunscreen. So it looks pretty rough. But
we did have
appreciate y'all getting it going this morning.
One of the the guy that Mirrenman that sends me the emails, my conspiracy theorist buddy. He did tell me to watch out and tell you, no sunscreen. It's bad for you.
What?
And so I would not be a friend if not passed on the word from the wise. This man's smart.
I burn and I still use sunscreen, so I mean, I don't think it makes a difference either. But
it says it gives you cancer later, so watch out.
Well, there you go, Noah. Just get red.
Everything gives you cancer. We'll see what happens. But yeah, appreciate everybody getting in here this morning. Good day yesterday. Great show yesterday. My grandmother actually texted me after the show, said, good job, show went smooth, have fun at the beach. I was like, thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words and the kind remarks. If you can't tell, I have a little microphone today, little setup, tied that thing on a fork.
Innovation at its finest.
Here at Tingle & Co. Tingle & Co. believes in furthering the future of technology, and that's what we're doing right now with our international show. But we'll get through the headlines here and the two claps early this morning, get it rolling. The discussion around who LSU will pitch in Game 1 is something that we touched on a little bit yesterday, but didn't spend too much time on it. That's my fault, because I really didn't think it was going to be that big of a discussion. And from what I saw on social media yesterday, is that it's exploded. Like it's a discussion that I really didn't think was going to be as big as it's become. And I guess I'm just naive, and I just figured everyone just kind of understood the situation and the direction it's going to go. But we'll obviously touch on that more in the show. But from what I saw yesterday on Twitter, a lot of people with different opinions. And of course, I'm not surprised by that. I just thought there would be more people kind of understanding how it went down in 23 with the pitching and using that as an example. But we'll obviously get into that discussion more as the show goes on. Also saw yesterday some breaking news from John Eads, as he put out on Twitter that Stephen Milam was going to bring back the playoff hair, which I think a lot of people are going to be excited about. You know, baseball is obviously a very superstitious sport, and what we saw last time Milam had the purple tiger print hair was some pretty impressive swings of the bat, and that's what he needs right now. The offense has been kind of struggling. We talked about that yesterday for sure, and if he brings back the playoff hair and starts crushing baseballs again, that'll be good for the Tigers. Greg Sankey was at SEC spring meetings yesterday and spoke. A lot of good tidbits there that he kind of touched on about the future of college football, future of SEC football, and things like that. Lane Kiffin proposed a 16 team playoff format where it's just the 6 best teams, and he thinks that would be the most efficient and just the right way. That'll be the best way to handle it. So we'll obviously get into that discussion. LSU softball had a transfer land yesterday in Mississippi State shortstop Kylie Edwards. She was a starter at Mississippi State for 2 years, so great experience, and she still has 2 years of eligibility left. Her numbers, a 280 batting average, 14 home runs, 17 doubles, 60 ribbies, and scored 59 runs. So good numbers there. And then obviously yesterday, the NCAA football 26 cover was announced. Those are the headlines. We'll obviously get into a lot of that more as the show goes on this morning. I appreciate everybody being here once again. And here we are in the 2 clap segment. We're going to get it started with LSU Creative. Like I said, if you saw the NCAA 26 cover, LSU Creative put out their own with just Garrett Nussmeier, and it looked 10 times better than the one that was dropped by NCAA and actually is the cover. If we can pull that up, Lloyd, just so everybody can get a look at it, because I think it was LSU Football tweeted it out. It was a beautiful, beautiful cover. And to me, that one should be the cover of the entire game. And maybe if he explodes and wins the Heisman and does all those things, maybe for 27, it'll be on the cover. But it was really just the announcement kind of page, saying that he's in the game. But I thought that cover that LSU put out was excellent. And when they quote tweeted the original cover, which has a bunch of different athletes, the deluxe edition does. It's headlined by Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, but you roll through and you see legends. You see Garrett Nussmeier on there. You see flags, coaches, all of those things, mascots. Shout out to LSU Creative for getting that out. Yeah, I mean, that looks beautiful. And so shout out to LSU Creative for getting that, for knocking that out and getting it posted so everybody can admire the work and enjoy, a Garrett Nussmeier cover for College Football 26. So for the LSU Creative team, 2 claps, ready. There we go.
That's pretty good.
All right, next we've got Nate Ackenhausen. Saw this on my Twitter yesterday. Old Nasty Nate is in AAA, and he's playing pretty well. And so we wanted to give 2 claps to Nate. His 2025 stats, he's 101, a 3.44 ERA, 11 appearances, 18 in the third innings pitched, and 25 strikeouts. So Nate Ackenhausen, shout out to you, my friend. 2 claps, ready. Next up, we've got Tommy Tanks. Back-to-back games in high A. He's gone yard. He's just crushing the baseball, and he's making it look easy. So for Tommy Tanks, 2 claps, ready. There we go. Rolling on through here, Ross Dellinger, shout out, as he absolutely crushed the coverage, which he's one of the best. He crushed the coverage yesterday of the SEC spring meetings and all the Sankey stuff, and what really is such an important offseason right now, which feels like every single offseason is important. Delly had all the coverage, and that's how I was keeping up with everything that was said yesterday, was by Delly's coverage. So I wanted to give Ross the acknowledgement and the 2 claps. So Ross Dellinger, 2 claps, ready. Next up, we've got the Little Rock head coach. So LSU plays Little Rock on Friday. Their head coach, I learned his name. Lloyd, do you know what his name is?
No, I was listening to an interview that he did earlier. I know things about him. Does that count? I know that he played at Mississippi State. I think he coached at LSU maybe, or against LSU, whatever. He was at Arkansas, was at Northwestern State. Know all about the man. Don't know what they call coach.
His name is that of
Robert.
One of your favorite LSU Tigers,
Coach
from
Patrick.
the 2019 LSU football
Coach
team.
Joe.
His name is Chris Curry.
Oh, I did hear that.
Wow.
His name is Chris Curry. I saw it, and you're the first person I thought of.
Legend.
I was like, oh, Lloyd's going to love this guy. He's going to love this guy. His
Peach
name's
Bowl
Chris
legend,
Curry.
right?
Yeah, Chris Curry earned it 18.
Yeah, Peach Bowl legend. They did. Earned it, him and Damone. And then, so 2 claps for the Little Rock coach just for having the name Chris Curry.
And for Chris Curry, 2 claps, real quick. Ready?
And for Chris Curry, 2 claps.
What a legend. I hope you're doing okay, Chris.
Forever a legend.
I don't know where you are, but he's got to be on a roster somewhere.
At first I thought he was the football coach at University of Little Rock. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I was like, oh, no, it's the baseball coach with the name Chris Curry.
This is a white.
This is not Chris Curry. We also saw yesterday on Twitter the 2026 committed LSU wide receiver trio working out together after taking their visits this past weekend. Tristan Keys, Jabari Mack, Kenny Darby, a special class if LSU can keep that together. But they were all 3 working out together there in Baton Rouge after taking their visit. So 2 claps for those 3 guys. Ready? Next up, we've got 2 claps for Lane Kiffin. I don't know if y'all saw his segment on the Feinbaum show. I know Andre did because he was the one that first brought it to my attention. I went through and watched it last night, and I mean, Lane just did not let Paul breathe.
It was bad.
Right from the jump, he had Paul Feinbaum in a chokehold. Just like Paul didn't even know what to do with him. Like every single thing Paul said in response, Lane had a quick comeback for a quick clap back, like was pressing Paul Feinbaum the entire time, and it was enjoyable, so enjoyable. And I'm not the biggest Feinbaum hater, but the way he carries himself, like it was nice to see Lane go in there and just knock him down a couple of pegs. Are we able to play any of that clip or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, it's. I'm telling you, it's pretty awkward.
Well, this has been an ongoing thing.
Well,
right?
yeah, it's. I don't understand why Paul keeps having him on.
I think he thinks it's good.
Yeah, I think so because obviously nobody watches. As it is.
All of his
I gotta watch
listeners are
what I say
dying.
because I appeared on the show last semester, but it was pretty bad. He did the same thing with Kirby Smart.
I was supposed to be at the same time, so I chose media combined.
Here it is.
The show is being live on a nationally televised show over meeting a couple of guys who will still be there when you're done.
Well, if you put it that way.
What were you going to say to those assembled media?
I can't say yet. I'm going to go do that next.
Oh.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to reveal my whole playoff plan. What it should look like.
Do you have one?
Yeah, I do, but I'm not saying it on your show.
I don't listen. I'm fine with
your
that.
ratings.
I mean, this show.
Plus, I'm sticking up for Kirby. I just saw him walking off, and he said you were mean to him today. Guys only been to. I just counted when they had him listed up there. 7 of the 8 last SEC championships, and you rip on him today.
I wasn't ripping on him. I was ripping on his quarterback.
Oh, okay.
I was just
telling you, he seemed in a bad mood. You used to piss off Coach Saban, now you piss off Coach Smart. It's like you just move them around. That's why I did your show instead of the press conference. So maybe I could get on your good list.
Oh, sure.
Stay all off season on your good list.
I'm sure every May and Dustin, you think I want to get on Paul Feinbaum's good list.
I really do.
Because last year I don't even think you came by.
That's not true. I always come by. Kyle, our SID, is always like, you don't need to do Feinbaum. Nobody even watches his show anymore. And I'm like, I'm not going to do shows based off of rating. I appreciate Paul and all he's done for me. So
he had Paul in an absolute chokehold. Yeah, no, I mean it goes on for about 5 minutes of Lane just completely in control of Paul Feinbaum. It was electric.
Well, the thing about Lane Kiffin is don't let him get to the beach. That's where that man's comfortable. He's not drinking anymore. He's taking his shirt off. He looks great, and so his confidence is
with
through
the ex-wife
roof.
now. I think.
Yeah.
I think he got back together with the ex-wife.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Hinted on Twitter.
Yeah, they put the hearts together.
His confidence. He was as confident and comfortable as you could be right there next to Paul Feinbaum, and just had Paul just like in a box. It was the best.
That
And
might
so
be the
2
most
claps for
interesting
Lane
match.
Kiffin, because that was just awesome.
Oh,
Next up, we've got 2 claps for the Atlanta Resort. Not trying to rub it in because it's not the resort itself. Yesterday, there were multiple things that I saw yesterday that deserved 2 claps, and so I decided to put it all under one thing in the document. One, saw a young man walking through the resort here in an LSU shirt, which I thought was awesome, because I love when you go outside of Baton Rouge, outside of Louisiana, you go anywhere else, somehow, some way, you always run into somebody wearing LSU stuff. And so that's why, like, when I get on a plane, when I do anything, I'm always wearing something LSU, whether it's a hat, whether it's a jacket, a shirt, whatever, because you're always going to run into somebody that's a Tigers fan. So shout out to him. Yesterday on the beach, they got the ladies that are braiding hair, and bro, they are grinding. Like, they're walking up and down that beach, double checking, asking, like, hey, y'all want y'all's hair braided? And I mean, and then somebody says, yeah, they sit down, they start braiding the hair for like 20 minutes, done, on to the next one. Like, and it's hot, they're in the sun, like, they're not wearing swimsuits, they're wearing like clothes, like they're wearing jean shorts and a shirt, and it's like, shout out to them for getting out there and braiding the hair. I don't think mine's long enough. I thought about it yesterday when they were out there. I was sitting there. I thought about getting it braided with some beads in it, but I got a haircut right before I left, and I don't think it's quite long enough. So I might test it out today. So if you see me tomorrow morning on the show with some beads and some braids, don't freak out too much. But they were out there grinding. And then they had the guys selling the coconut and the pineapple drinks in the coconuts and the pineapples. And I tell you what, they hit the jackpot on this one family, because they're out there they're grinding. They're trying to sell stuff to people on the beach. And there's this one family that's sitting, diagonal and in front of us, and just was a revolving door at his table. Like, he found the perfect spot and the perfect client base, because he gets the mom, I guess, goes up and gets a drink. Then the kids all run up because they all want pineapples. So the kids run up. There's about 4 of them. So they each get a pineapple, and then they run back. Dad comes, he wants one, and then I guess aunt or sister, whoever comes up, she gets one. Well, while they're doing the dads and the sisters, the kids run back. They finish theirs. They want another. And so it was like a revolving door. And this guy, I was like, as much as it's probably, I was like, he might make his day sales off this one family. And so I wanted to give 2 claps to the people that are grinding, the vendors out on the beach, and my guy walking around in his LSU shirt here in the resort. So 2 claps. Ready?
Oh, I messed that up, boys.
And then, Andre, you put this last 2 claps in here, so you go ahead and knock that one out. You give the shout-out to the new college drive exit.
Lloyd brought me home yesterday, and we were like, it was one of the first times that I was on the new college drive exit, and oh my goodness, it was actually nice. Like, it was actually organized. And so Louisiana, I'm surprised, is even capable of doing this. Better yet, Baton Rouge with all the traffic. So just for actually getting this done in a timely manner, but also just having it nice, 2 claps for the new college drive exit on I-10. Ready?
It really was. It was incredible. It felt like it was like a real city for a second. Like, you could exit and nothing was backed up. You can kind of move around. It's its own little entity now. You get on the college exit. It's like the expressway. It was bizarre.
Yeah,
Nice to see,
like a toll road, man.
Yeah, if it's what do they say? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. It was slow, but now it's fast.
There you go.
So we got something done here in Baton Rouge. Got some infrastructure done.
Watch out.
I've driven on it, and it helps immensely. Like, because that part of the interstate was always a cluster and a mess. It seems like they finally started to streamline something to get it rolling through. So that's all of our 2 claps for today. That's all the shout outs. That was kind of a long list for this morning. So that's the shout outs. we'll get back to the discussion. Once again, we appreciate all of you guys joining us here this morning as we are an international show this week. I am in the Atlantis Resort in the Bahamas. The fellas are holding it down back home. I will be back next week to Baton Rouge to enjoy, or this weekend to enjoy some baseball, and back next week to recap it all. Don't forget, also next week, we will officially be on the Tingle & Co. channel only. So when I return, my first show back in studio next Monday, will be live from the Tingle & Co. channel and the Tingle & Co. channel only. So right now, as you know, we are dual streaming, so we're live on both channels. I'm keeping up with both chats, or at least trying to. We're live on both of those this morning, and we got people in both of them enjoying the show, so we appreciate you guys. Make sure you go over to Tingle & Co. and you subscribe, you like, you hit the bell, all of those things to be ready for next week. We've got some exciting stuff coming up. Hopefully definitely some watch parties coming soon. That we've got some really cool stuff in the works on those as well. So make sure you're on the lookout and you're ready for all of that. But we've got LSU baseball this weekend. I'm pretty sure my flight times on Friday are not conducive with me being able to watch the Tigers. So hopefully I can figure something out so I can be up to date. But I'll be able to watch them on Saturday and beyond. But Friday might be tough. So I have my fellas back home. We'll get back to this Game 1 pitcher discussion. As I don't even know if I'll be able to watch Game 1. But I want to get y'all's opinion once again to pick this discussion back up. I don't know if y'all saw it on social media yesterday. Everybody in the chat dropped who you think LSU and Jay Johnson should pitch on Friday against Little Rock, whether you think they stay with the regularly scheduled programming or if they kind of pitch backwards. So throw it out in the chat who you think, and Lloyd and Andre, I'll let y'all kind of take the floor here.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with it. I know a lot of people. There was like a Twitter war yesterday, I think I saw, and people were like, throw Newt and throw, Shores and Myers in Game 1. I'm like, they're saying basically pitch backwards, and I'm like, there's no reason that LSU needs to go and do that, just because if things go wrong in Game 1, that puts a lot of pressure on your 1 and 2 guys, and then some of your best bullpen guys at that. Like Shores has probably been one of your best bullpen guys the last 3 weeks. So I say stay on schedule just because you know what you're getting out of Kade Anderson, and you don't want to, like Lloyd said yesterday, you don't want to play with your food. You want to just get through that game that way that you can scout DBU later that night, and that's that. And Anthony Ianson can get an early jump and pretty much, I mean, the only thing I could see being a discussion is Ianson Game 1 and maybe Anderson Game 2 because DBU struggles with lefties.
Right, because you saw them go against, whenever they pitched DBU, the first time they played DBU, it was Connor Ware as a lefty against DBU. But my question was, this is for Noah, if you want to take this also, what benefit is there to pitching backwards? Like when you look at the totality of the schedule and what you have to do in a regional, in my mind, the most important thing you can do is win Game 1, win Game 2, let everybody else kind of fall by the wayside, and then you have 2 chances to win 1. Does that not make sense to everybody else?
Yeah, no, I mean, to me, I guess the discussion is built around you're trying to win 3 games, and so to win 3 games, you pitch the guys you're not as confident in against the worst team. So you pitch your day 3 guys against the team that you feel you have the easiest chance of beating, and then you set up to win the next 2 against with your 2 guys. And when you live in a perfect world, that makes sense. It makes sense of saying, hey, but I'll throw my day 3 guys who were just kind of figuring out. Like LSU just figured that out. Like it's not like this is, because that's where the discussion for me took a turn. Was everyone was kind of acting like you've known who your day 3 starters are, and like you've got this set in stone rotation figured out. Look, I'm as confident as you can get in Newt, Shores, and Myers after what I saw on Saturday. Y'all heard me talk about it yesterday. Like that what you saw was electric and works and is good for LSU. I'm not going to sit here and act like that's set in stone and you can believe that you're going to get that every single time because you haven't seen it consistently enough yet. I mean, you saw Newt pitch well against South Carolina. Shores has gotten in a good rhythm. That was Myers' really kind of breakout performance. Like he's pitched well in spots. You saw the control had gotten better, but that was his first time really extending past, I guess, an inning, or 2/3 of an inning. And so, like, to me, the argument is being based on that you have your Game 3 guys. And don't get me wrong, I'm confident in who they have going in Game 3. I just don't understand why you would mess with that. And because now the hope is, like, you hope that Newt goes out there and shoves Shores and Myers and that you're good to go after that. But now you've used 3 pitchers in Game 1. You better hope Anderson and Ianson show up and Cowan and Evans. So, like, you need it to be perfect if you handle it that way. In my opinion, on top of that, you're going to throw off your schedule for the next weekend. Just keep it normally scheduled. Keep everything rolling so you're not having to pitch Kade and Anthony against Clemson or Kentucky or West Virginia the next weekend on a short week of rest, because they're going Saturday, Friday, Sunday, Saturday. Because next week the discussion is going to be you're back to your regularly scheduled guys. You're going to go Anderson, Ianson, Newt, Shores on Sunday. And so if you really want to break away from that, you can. To me, I feel like there's so much, and we've seen Jay operate from this future mindset type of, like, looking ahead, looking at the bigger picture rather than what's right in front of you. And can that cause problems? Yeah, you want to be able to handle the game in front of you. You don't want to look ahead. It's just, to me, you can't bet on Newt, Shores, and Myers to be that again. You've only seen it once. Now, my hope is, and I have confidence in, that they can do that consistently, that when they go out there this weekend, they'll do it again. And, consistently from here on out, they'll be your Day 3 crew. But you can't say that that's the end all be all and it's expected when you've only seen it one time, really. Like, you haven't seen from Newt to Shores to Myers work but the one time. You've seen Shores in spots look good. You've seen Newt in spots look good. You've seen Myers do his job in different areas, but you haven't seen it all put together other than last weekend. And so, as confident as I am in those 3 guys and what that means for LSU, I just don't know if that level of confidence being shown creates the thought in my mind of let's pitch backwards. Let's throw Anderson against DBU or whoever they play on Day 2 and see what happens after that. Because the last thing you want to do is throw everything off and the guys on, you throw Newt against Rhode Island and he gets hit a little bit in the first 2 innings and you got to pull him. You got to put Shores in early. And Shores' pitch count, like, all of these things are up in the air because it's baseball. Like, this isn't football where it's like, okay, look, the end of the season, we've already got a playoff spot clinched, so we don't need whatever. Like, anything can happen. Guys can get their pitch count up. They can be off. A pitcher cannot have control that day. So I don't fully agree with the argument, but, like, there are parts of it that I'll listen to and I'll understand. Like, when you compare it to 2023, when I look back, your bullpen, in my opinion, this year is probably in a little bit better of a position than I remember from 2023. Like, you knew who you had then in Floyd and Skeens. Hurd was kind of hit or miss. You knew you had Riley Cooper out of the pen. You knew you had Griffin Herring out of the pen. But other than that, it was kind of hit or miss. Like, Ackenhausen didn't really become the Ackenhausen we remember until later on that postseason run. And so right now, in my opinion, LSU is in a more comfortable arm position than they were in 23. So part of Jay's thought process, I would assume, in 23 was as much as you want to stay on the regular program, the schedule, you also wanted Skeens to go out there and throw a CG and keep everything good to go for the next 2 days. So you didn't have to worry about throwing all these bullpen arms that you didn't really trust that much. So I do think the bullpen is in a better position. So you won't really need a guy to go out there. You don't need whoever you throw on Friday to throw 9 innings. You don't need him to throw 7 innings. Like, you can really break it up and split it up because you have the guys to do so. So whenever I listen to that part of the argument, I start to understand a little bit more. Like I can see it from that perspective. But in my mind, it's still like you have to trust, as much as you trust those guys to get the job done against University of Arkansas, Little Rock, or whoever, you want to trust those guys to get the job done in Game 3. So I don't really understand why you would throw it off by rescheduling it in that way.
Yeah, I mean, a pie in the sky is what you got from Skeens, where Anderson goes out, throws the complete game, and that's the other part of the conversation. I think people are having to like the internal debate with themselves of, well, if you go out there and you get a lead, do you pull Kade after 4 innings? It's like there's no point to pull him because once you use a starter, he's burned. Like I don't see a world in which Kade Anderson comes back into the series because that's goes into the super regional conversation. If you have to throw Kade Anderson again, I don't know where that happened. So you would like to see Kade be able to go 7-8 innings, and that's why I think he goes in Game 1 because he's shown the ability to be able to throw 115 pitches in a game. He's gone over 100 pitches in his last, 5 starts? Like, that's somebody that wants the ball, wants to be able to go and get you a win, and then you don't have to worry about your pen because there's a world in which, like you said, like I think the thing that people saw most recently is what they remember the most. And it's because you saw Chase Shores, Jacob Myers, Jaden Newt, go out there and dominate and hold an SEC tournament team to 2 runs, a team that got to the finals. And it's like, oh, just go do that. It's the first time you've seen it all year. So it's not something that I would completely hang my hat on going into a regional play going, well, y'all roll the ball out and y'all go do it again. Because if it doesn't work, if Newt's not on, and then you go to Shores, and then he's not on, and then you go to Myers, and he's not on, then you're back to where you've been for the majority of the year of, what are we doing here? Like, you're scrambling. Now do you have to go put Cowan in? You're trying to win a baseball game, so you're not just going to piss one off. And so I think that's where it just makes more sense to me to go throw Kade Anderson. Hopefully he does what he's done all year, and then you don't have to worry about any of these scenarios in which you put yourself in a spot that is it's supposed to be an advantage to be the 1 seed. Take advantage of being the 1 seed.
Yeah, I agree. Like when you look at what Paul Skeens did in 23, right? They could have obviously they had a lead against Tulane. Now it wasn't comfortable, but when he went the full game, which Anderson has definitely the ability to do on Friday. I'm not saying he's gonna do it, but he has the ability, to do it. Like Lloyd said, he's been at 118, 120 pitches. I think in that Tennessee game. Like, there's no reason, like he said, to throw another arm in there that you're just gonna burn, right? Like, and that's where I differed my reasonings from yesterday, because you make a good point. It's like, why pull a starter if he's doing well and then throw him on a Sunday to get him off?
Right. It
schedule, right?
Takes away the point that you were throwing him in the first place.
Exactly. So it makes no sense, 1, and then 2, it's Little Rock. Like, that Tulane team that Paul Skeens threw against, I saw on Twitter, they couldn't hold this Little Rock team's jockstrap. Like, they are that bad. And Anderson's obviously going to prep as much as he needs to. He's not going to go in thinking it's Little Rock, right? He's going to think
he wants to go pitch in a regional.
And like I said, don't be surprised if he does go the full 8.
Yeah, go 7-8 innings. That's what you would want him to do. He's not going to get pulled just because LSU is dominating. I wouldn't think, just because if you got him, use him. And I'm starting to look at this Little Rock team a little bit more closely, and they're not as bad as the numbers bear out when you just look at the blank canvas of resume, wins, losses. Like, I was listening to some of the things that Coach Chris Curry did say, and they've been an injury-prone baseball team. I think they lost 6 regular, everyday guys at stretches, and they were preseason number 2 to win their conference. They go on this run where they kind of put all of their eggs into, we have to win the conference tournament. So that's like, let's just get there and see if we can get right. And so they're finally healthy. They're playing better baseball. Jack Klein was a guy that went in the final of their championship series and goes a complete game to win a 2-1 ball game. Like, that's somebody that wants to compete and wants to throw. So I don't think I'm going to take them as lightly as maybe as saying the worst RPI team in the country. Like, their wins and loss record. Like, I think there's more to it than that, and especially when you have a coach like Curry who's been around the league, been there, very familiar with LSU. I just don't think it's worth just looking at it on a strictly resume perspective and basing your decisions off of that.
Right.
I agree. And I mean, and think about the way Jay operates. the last thing he wants to do is back him or his baseball team into a corner, and you don't want to run out of options and potential things you can do. Like, there's a world where he goes from Anderson to Myers on Friday, and you leave Newt and Shores and Cowan and Evans and Einson all good to go for the rest of the weekend, because you want to keep as much available as you can, because you don't know if you're going to have to play 4 games or not. Exactly. Like, there are multiple things that can happen that throw everything off. The last thing you want to do is back yourself into a corner of saying, okay, we're going to throw 3 guys on Friday against Little Rock, and then you're setting the rest of the weekend up to throw 2 guys each game. Like, I trust in Einson and Anderson as much as anybody else, but you haven't seen Cowan be as crisp the last couple of outings. We haven't seen Evans in a minute. Him and Cowan haven't thrown since South Carolina. So, like, you want to keep as many cards in your pocket as you can. Like, you want to be as comfortable as possible throughout the weekend. You can really throw that off if you're throwing multiple arms on Friday night, when you can go out there and throw 1 guy or 2 guys and be good to go for the rest of the weekend, leave all of your options available. To me, that's what Coach Johnson's going to do. Like, that's who Jay is. Like, the last thing he wants is to be backed into a corner and forced to handle something a certain way. And I think that he's going to go with the regular schedule. He's going to pitch Kade. Depending how far Kade goes in that game, I think will decide who comes in after him. If he gets through 7 innings, Myers might go out there to close out the last 2. If he gets through 5 innings, then it's probably Cowan, because Cowan can extend. And it might even be Cowan to something of the sort. He's going to keep his options open, and I think the best way to do that is by going with your regularly scheduled guys rather than trying to pitch backwards and throwing everything off and leaving a lot of things up in the air to what the rest of the weekend can look like.
And it also, like, it depends on how close is the game, right? Like, if the game is not that close, Kade, right, obviously you want to have him fresh for the next week if things are looking well. But extend him to where he feels comfortable in the first place. If it's not very close, go and throw a guy like Grant Fontenot. Go and throw a guy that hasn't seen a lot of time, because everything's going to be on the table for this week. Say that, like you said, Noah, if a Myers has to go and throw an inning to close this one out, like, Jay's going to throw him again that weekend. This is going to be a weekend where we see Cowan probably used twice, where we see Case and Evans come in probably twice. I think that we may see Myers twice, right? Like, I think the only thing that we saw set in stone is that Jay Newt is probably your game 3 starter no matter what now, because he gives you what you need. He's efficient with his pitches. He pitches for outs more so than strikeouts, and he still has the ability to strike out. So those 3 things have you set for a Sunday game, especially when a team might be against, back against the walls, and it's win or go home at that point.
Yeah, I mean, look, in a perfect world, I would love to be able to throw my ace against the 2 or 3 seed in game 2 and my second ace in the championship game to end it in game 3. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to discount the fact that it makes a lot of sense when you look at it on paper of, okay, I can put myself in a position to win the 2 games I need on Saturday and Sunday with my 2 best guys by getting past the 4 seed on Friday with somebody else. Like, I get it. I don't want to act like this is just some stupid idea that I just completely hate, because I don't. Like, I'm not going to act like I don't have that thought process in my mind if it makes a whole lot of sense, and I would actually like it if it was able to work out that way. I just don't think that that's an idea that's going to bear much fruit, because it leaves a lot of things up in the air. You're betting on News and Myers to go out there and be that again when you've only really seen it consistent, that one time in that one game. So the good thing that you can do is you really can just go with your regular schedule. And in my opinion, the discussion shouldn't really even be around who's pitching, because that shouldn't matter on Friday. It should be about what your bats do. Like, that's the conversation.
Exactly.
If you have your offense go out there and perform the level they should and they're supposed to, pitch whoever you want.
Yeah.
You know, like the guys
shouldn't
you have
matter.
on this roster are good enough that if the offense is the level it should be, especially at this point of the year, look at go down the list. The talent that is on this team, we've talked about it consistently, ad nauseum about how good this offense should be. They just haven't been it. If you can start that this weekend, it gets rid of this entire conversation. You should only have to play 7 innings on Friday, in my opinion, because your offense should be able to score 10 runs or whatever or more and 10-run rule these guys and get out of there. Like, that's what the offense should be, just based off the potential and the skill that I know they have. And I've seen them perform. They just haven't put it all together. Do that. This conversation could completely disappear on Friday if the bats are awake and alive and they go out there and they just start crushing baseballs, getting runs across, doing that whole deal. That will become this conversation will become a nothing.
Right.
And if they're able to roll that offense into Saturday and into Sunday, like, your offense is going to go win you these games. Like, don't get me wrong, the pitching is going to be excellent, and the pitching is going to win LSU the national championship if they do. Like, it's going to be because of who you have pitching in Kade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. But your offense is what's going to get you through this weekend and put you in a position that regardless of who you pitch, you're going to feel comfortable.
Yeah. Lloyd, you mentioned Jack Klein throwing that CG for Little Rock in their conference championship. That was on a Saturday. So I'm curious to see if they're going to throw him on short rest or if they're going to go with their Saturday guy, which is he's a right-hander, Jackson Wells, and he has a lot of strikeouts on the year. He actually has 90. Which is that's a lot of strikeouts for a team like that.
I wonder if Arkansas Little Rock is having the same conversation we're having. It's like, do we throw our guy on and he'll be on short rest, or do we have to pitch off against LSU and maybe you sacrifice yourself?
We're gonna look. They might be having the conversation. You'll figure out what they think of the weekend by who they throw to. I guess. I guess I didn't really consider that the fact that Little Rock might be trying to figure out what to do with their arms as well. So Wolfgang in the chat says 10-run rule after last week would be nice, but 3 to 5 runs would be nice at this point. Look, I agree. I think that I understand the offense discussion. I was disgusted by it against Ole Miss, but the pitchers that you're going to see this weekend, don't get me wrong, this Klein guy sounds good, and I think he probably is a really good pitcher. I'm not going to pretend like I've seen him. Like, the guys that you saw against Ole Miss, not only were they good against LSU, they were good against Vandy. They were good against Arkansas, which is debatably the best lineup in baseball. They were good against, everyone they played against. I think they beat Florida. They were good against Florida. Like, that's where that was bad. Like, the level of pitching you've seen in the SEC, you're not going to see in this regional. And so you're not going to have to worry about that. I just think this entire conversation would kind of be forgotten and thrown away. If the bats show up, it really doesn't matter who you pitch on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But I do still think that Jay's going to keep all the chips in his back pocket and go with his regularly scheduled guys, so that if Kade does go, if you run rule these guys in 7 innings and Kade throws a complete 7-inning game and just shoves and you're chilling, then you have every option available to go for Saturday and Sunday. I just think that puts you in the position to be more comfortable going into game 2, game 3, and a potential game 4, rather than betting on pitching off in game 1 and potentially throwing everything off and everything out of whack going into the rest of the weekend.
I mean, no matter what happens, like you said, what LSU does pitching-wise, like you said, the bats have to come alive. And when LSU has been elite hitting, they have gotten to the starting pitchers early. And that's going to be the key in Friday's game, especially against some guys for Little Rock that have the ability to extend their outings. And so LSU is going to have to see a lot of pitches, get their pitch counts up, because once you get to that Little Rock bullpen, you've got them. Like, you have them pretty much figured out.
Yeah.
And you probably
it's going to come down to this offense, getting them out of that game, putting your pitchers in the comfortable position. Carl Dunn with a point in the chat, Micah as well. No run rule. That's my fault. No run rule in the postseason, in the regional. Right. So that won't be a possibility, but still, it'll put, like, the point still stands of, if you throw Kade game 1, he can extend deep into a game. the guy you bring out of the pen only has to throw an inning or two, and it's going to leave so many options available for the rest of the weekend rather than potentially pitching off and things getting thrown out of whack by what could happen in a baseball game and then a weekend of potentially 4 games. So, but we'll see, and we'll continue to talk about it as the week goes on as we preview what's next for LSU baseball in their regional this weekend. Appreciate all of you guys in the chat, everyone talking. I'm checking in with the Tingle and Coach chat here. We've got 35 people watching live over there. Michael Graham, not to mention, if you want Myers and Short to keep shoving 100 plus, do not mess with their rest. That's a great point. So we appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. Sabrion, the point is these games shouldn't be close. That's true. You should be able to take care of business offensively. That the discussion we're having right now about who you pitch in game 1, game 2, and game 3 really shouldn't hold as much weight as we feel it does. So we'll be ready to go for LSU baseball this weekend. I'm excited to see what it looks like as the Tigers will have Little Rock on Friday, and then they'll play the winner of DBU and Rhode Island after that, or loser, depending what it looks like, and we'll see what goes. So, what are your guys' feelings on what LSU's got going up against them? Y'all know a little bit more about Little Rock than I do. I know, Andre, you've done some good research into them. So if you want to preview kind of what that team looks like a little bit as we get ready to roll into hour number 2 this morning.
Yeah, the pitching's not as bad, right? Lloyd kind of said it. There's probably 2 guys in the lineup to probably look out for. Now, this is a team that could bunt you to death, and it's one of those teams that will live and die by the bunt, which you hate to see sometimes. But they have a 271 team average, which is really bad. But one of their team leaders is Cooper Chaplin. He's going to be probably one of their best players. He's got 7 homers, 37 RBIs. But the thing about this team is they strike out a lot, and that's good news for Kade Anderson. Their top hitter has 48 strikeouts on the year, and then another guy has 48, and then their leadoff guy has 37 strikeouts. That's a lot of strikeouts for this lineup, and that's just their 3 best hitters, by the way. So that's good news if you're Kade Anderson and Jay Johnson, especially when you have an elite starter coming in Friday. So that makes you feel a lot better, but it's the bats that you have to worry about. And Little Rock's pitching isn't awful, but they're not really strikeout caliber guys, but they will go and they're kind of like those Mikael Hilliard guys, pitch for outs, be efficient, and that's what you have to worry about. You just have to worry about hitting the ball hard. I don't think that'll be a problem. It's going to be hot in Baton Rouge this weekend. The ball's going to fly, and they see it well at Alec Box, so that's what I expect, at least from this Little Rock matchup.
I'm looking at some of the stats that you put in here. Little Rock with the team batting average of 271, like you said. That's good for 203rd in college baseball. 46 home runs. That's good for 204th in college baseball.
So you don't really have to worry about the long ball.
No, and if you're LSU, you would hope to be able to tag some and get some out the park. But, yeah, that guy said when you look at the numbers, it's easy to why you would write off Arkansas Little Rock. But you've seen teams come into Alec Box and be able to at least put up a fight. And, I mean, you have They have 3 guys that are batting over 300, but the strikeout numbers are high. Like there's pros and cons of this, but it is hard to when you go down the list to try to if you're Arkansas Little Rock, I don't think they're going down their stats to go, no, I don't think y'all know who we are. Like this is kind of what the team is, and so it's when you just look at it like that, and you look at their bullpen arms, like you said, they ER over 6, ERA over 5, they walk a ton of dudes, so. LSU should be in a very good spot. Like I said, you're the 1 seed for a reason. You're not going to play a team that is equal to you, but also that doesn't mean you start taking chances and start playing off or pitching off or do anything different in the lineup. I think the only thing, the really real conversation that could come out of this, if Kade Anderson doesn't pitch well and he has to come out the game, and if LSU doesn't swing it well, and then it becomes a real conversation of. But I do think those narratives probably won't exist, and it just feels like LSU rolls into Alec Box back at home. You've seen how they've played there. Weather withstanding, obviously, it's not up in the air. I think it's more like 80% chance to not have to worry about it more than, for more than half the day. And then if LSU does what LSU does, it'd be nice to actually play a game like this, get the offensive back on the back in the groove, because the last 2 games or the last, I guess, game and a half, there is cause for concern. Like, you got 2 hit.
Oh yeah.
And what would you say, 14 innings?
Yeah, just about. I think 3 hit and 15 or
Yeah.
something like that. But I mean, the same like we're seeing, and I hate to keep comparing the 2023 teams,
Right,
but
but it's
in Hoover, the same thing happened. LSU couldn't hit Arkansas's ace, and then they couldn't hit against Kentucky. And Kentucky was a team that they later saw in the Supers. And so it's just funny how that works, because it's like, okay, that Tulane game gave them a lot of confidence, and then they went into Oregon State, hit a bunch of homers. They knew they were going to win it after that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that game 1 is telling, right? Like that game 1, I know it's easy to say that, but if you can get to their pitching, it gives you so much confidence at your home ballpark.
And you want these people to be behind you. Like, you want this fan base to be optimistic, because you've seen what happens whenever it doesn't go great. They can turn on you or get kind of quiet, but you want them at full throat, because you saw it even at Hoover. Like, that first game that LSU played, like, they were rowdy. And then you saw, like, all the way up until the 9th against Ole Miss, that they didn't have much to cheer for, so they didn't really do anything. The loudest it got was when Pearson came in to pinch hit in the 9th to try to, like, spur a little bit of a rally. And that was a good moment for Pearson, for the crowd to recognize, like, last appearance at Hoover, somebody that's won a national championship for you, has done everything you could ask to be at LSU and to be able to play and be a team guy. Like, he deserved that moment, and he almost delivered. But that was as loud as it got. So I think there is a little bit of, I guess, consternation, a little bit of wariness for LSU fans to kind of see, like, that offense is something that's easy to point to. But if all goes well, I think you'll see a very happy LSU fan base Friday, get that rolling into Saturday, and then you try to take care of business on Sunday, and then you're off to another part of the tournament, another season, if you will, and keep all of that same thing rolling. And now if everybody's on schedule, like, there's a world where this isn't that difficult, but also it's easy to do what? They got upset in 2005 against Rice, and 2014 they got upset again. Like, it's happened.
Yeah. Coastal, obviously.
Yes. They got a super.
No, I mean, you're not completely safe.
Stony freaking broke.
But I mean, look, I think the offense is obviously a discussion going into the weekend, and I'm hoping that it can be a discussion that is shut up after the weekend, because these guys have the ability to score runs. We've seen it throughout the season. I would love for them to get back to that, because that's what LSU would need. Like, if this offense picks back up at this point in the year and they start hitting that stride, I think Andre made a really good point. And as basic as it is, I guess, you will learn a lot from what you see in game number 1. And I think that's the position that LSU will be in. So look, we're rolling into hour number 2 here. We're going to take a quick break, reset, and we'll be back here at the start of 8 a.m. here on this Wednesday morning of an international Tingle and Co.
Hey, Chino. Cut my headphones up, bro. Yeah, right there. Now I'm focused on getting deposits. Evil in the way, now I'm just driving around it. They said I need a soul searching, I already found it. I unlocked my other side, now I'm sounding astounded. Drive by and let it ride like I'm whipping a Tesla. Pressure never fazed me, cause I'm bigger than pressure. I'm on my grind, bullshit, can't fit on my schedule. I'ma do what's best with me, you can keep all your lectures. Spend the summer stacking bread, might be gone to November. Pulling up like Trey Young just to freeze up December. I got niggas on the block like traditional sinners. OGs love me, so I hang with traditional winners. I took a break for a minute, I had to go charge up. Had to focus on my business, I'm coming back smarter. Hit up DJ, tell him go like I'm dropping the Carter. Coming back like KD, it's time to go harder. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing. slow up, bounce back, can't let you fold up, keep pushing, can't let you slow up, bounce back, can't let you fold up, keep pushing, can't let you slow up. They say that life's a marathon, man, shout out to Nip. They start to think you falling off and they starting to flip. Circumstances start to change and they jumping the ship. Only ones that really matter who's tied to your hip. They tried to push you to the side cause they thought you would quit. May bend but never break, your cloth is legit. When you return in rare form, they all gonna be sick. You ever seen a living legend, just know that I'm it. Slow grind like IT, just know that I'm it. Now I'm back up in my bag, I'm giving them fits. Bounce the back like John Morant, you know that I'm lit.
Well, I think the game of baseball doesn't change. People that play it change sometimes. When I mention consistency, it may not feel like it when you lose a game that, maybe you shouldn't lose or people think that you shouldn't lose, but their ability to respond to that, not be complacent when they've been successful. Like, I have confidence in the mindset of the team. I think pitching, we have, obviously, those two guys have gotten talked about, and as they should, rightfully so. But if you look at the emergence of a number of other pitchers on the staff, our pitching staff gives us tremendous ability to be in every game that we play. They're supported by outstanding defense. I don't know if this is still true, but somebody told me we were top 10 nationally in defense or fielding percentage. So you have two elements, complementing each other. And offensively, I think we've been challenged with so much good competition that, again, we're prepared for what we will see. And if to do what you asked or said, you're probably going to see somebody that you've seen already. And that's the good thing about surviving, I think I called it like the Royal Rumble, of 11 weeks. You're prepared. Like last year, we played one of the best teams in the country outside the league, and hey man, they got a 2-strike hit, and they got us by a run. But I was very comfortable with how that team competed in that environment, and that experience, should help this experience, going forward. So those would be the reasons that I would say.
I've been giving L's like I know love and I can't lose. For myself, man, I can't lose. For my family, man, I can't lose. I grind hard, I can't lose. I'm stacking days, but I can't lose. Big stepper, we can never put on the same shoes. I've been giving L's like I know love and I can't lose.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 officially underway here on this Wednesday morning, as we're rolling through our international week this week. Appreciate Lloyd and Andre back at home in the studio, getting everything going for us, holding it down, taking care of business. As I am away, I will be back soon, I promise. As much as I'm enjoying my vacation, it is tough being away from all the work, all the stuff. But I appreciate the fellas for taking care of business for me. So we'll get into some more discussion here in hour number 2. Do we have the video call up?
I had the link sent to him. It's just a matter of if he kicks you off, and
right.
then we'll just take care of JD. If he doesn't and you remain. I watched a lot of videos on this last night. We've never had to do it before, but I figured we're, on the internet, there's ways to do things, and that it made sense as to the reasoning behind why it should work, and I think it will, but I have no clue. So if you're gone, then we'll handle the JD interview, and then we'll bring you back.
All right. Well, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Oh, he's here.
Me.
We're both here.
We'll get. Are we in?
Yeah.
Everybody in?
Everybody's in.
You figured it out. Look at you, Lloyd. You're a genius.
Thank you. I don't want to take any credit, but I will take all the credit in this particular circumstance.
Take the credit. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. So.
Look, here's you and JD.
Oh, I like it.
Oh.
JD, can you hear me?
JD, the women in
I don't
Zachary
think
are
me
in a
and him
great
can hear
mood
each
this
other.
weekend. Why is that, buddy? Because Zachary got 7 inches, Bob.
JD, how are you doing on this fine day?
I'm outstanding. How you doing?
Good,
Were you
sir.
on?
Yes, we are live. I think I don't know if you and Noah can hear each other, so it's just going to be me and Andre Champagne doing the interview, if that's okay. So we've got somebody filling in for Noah in the studio just in case, as you can still see Noah, who is in
Well, if
the Bahamas.
Andre's doing the interview, I'm out of here.
I didn't know if y'all had assorted.
I knew it was coming.
So
Good to see you, Andre.
Hey, good to see you,
Congratulations on
JD.
your graduation.
Well, thank you. How are you doing this morning?
Well, it's great to hear from Lloyd at 7:45, and great to be on at 8:02.
That's right. The quick turnaround. I never know
I
when.
got my coffee, and I'm doing all right. How are y'all this morning?
Excellent. I never know when to text for these types of things for the morning, or if you want to, if you do it at night. So always I figure for you, a man of, as many accolades as one can have. I figure around 8 o'clock you're usually stirring.
Yeah,
He's
man,
got
I
his run
appreciate it.
done by then.
I did the 10 o'clock news last night, popped a couple of CBD gummies, and here I am. So we all good.
Just take a couple more.
Got
Do it
my
throughout
sleep.
the day.
Before I went to bed, not now.
Oh.
With the gummies, it helps me sleep a little. So you guys talking some LSU baseball or what?
Absolutely. We wanted to get what your thoughts were because, of course, as it is with every year with LSU baseball, a lot of no matter the situation, everybody seems to have an opinion about LSU, what they should do. You have a matchup against Arkansas Little Rock, which a team that people look at the RPI, they look at the resume, and they start saying, well, maybe they should change everything they do and pitch off. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what you think the Tigers will do and what do you think of the draw and everything regional.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I think 2 years ago when LSU won the national title, they had lost 5 of 7 games going into the NCAA tournament. Now, they didn't really go as gun-ho in the SEC tournament as they could have in terms of who they substituted and pitched and all that. But I think that in this case, then you had a Paul Skeens, who was the best pitcher in the country, and then you had a Ty Floyd and then a Thatcher Hurd. In this case, I think your pitchers are closer in quality in terms of Kade Anderson and Anthony Irons, and I think those guys are 1A and 1B. I think you could pitch either of those guys to start. Obviously, he pitched Paul Skeens against Tulane when Tulane had a losing record and barely got into the NCAA tournament in 2023. So I'm not sure what exactly he's going to do. I think in many instances, an NCAA regional obviously is more challenging than an NCAA super regional in terms of your pitching because you have to win 3 games as opposed to a super. You just have to win 2, and God forbid you fall into a losers bracket, then you're in real trouble in terms of your depth and whatnot. Got to win that marble game on Saturday night. So I'm not sure what he could just say we're going to do what we've always done. We're going to lead off with Kade Anderson and pitch Anthony Irons in second, or maybe he could change it. I don't have any insight on that at all. I do know that this regional, as it's been discussed, appears to be a pretty good draw for LSU. You got 2 teams that appeared to be in over their skis a little bit, and Rhode Island and Little Rock, and a somewhat solid team in Dallas Baptist, and the Clemson regional you're paired with isn't, I don't think, as daunting as, say, going to that North Carolina regional a year ago on the road for LSU, in which they were 1 game away from making it to the Super. So I think this is a solid LSU team. I think that they are very capable of making it to Omaha. Do they feel like a national championship team at this point? I can't say that, but certainly I think I read yesterday they've got second best odds to win the thing. So we'll see what happens.
Do you think JRT helped them out a little bit? I know you kind of knew of Jay.
Yeah, Andre Jay was a really good coach at Southeastern for their baseball program for a while, and is now part of the NCAA, committee and head chair, I believe. If you go to Omaha, like we did a couple of years ago, you saw Jay down the field, kind of running things and whatnot. I don't know how much he helped them, but certainly I think that LSU's resume and their RPI and whatnot, I think they deserve that 6th spot. Maybe they didn't deserve to be number 1 in the country in some of those polls, but I think what they've done in that league, winning 19 games during the regular season, their non-conference, I guess, was hardly a juggernaut. playing teams like Omaha, and they played North Dakota State and some others that Purdue, Fort Wayne. Those were the season opening series. But I don't slight Jay Johnson for that at all, because of the SEC gauntlet you've got to play. So I think that obviously the LSU softball team didn't win as nearly as many games down the stretch as baseball did, but I think that they felt like they got the shaft a little bit on the RPI 2 years in a row when they were 4 in the RPI and 5, or vice versa, top 5 RPI, and didn't get a top 8 national seed and got a very powerful number 4 seed in Southeastern come over in Nebraska. It's a whole nother discussion, but I think that J.R. Teagues has a job to do objectively, but it doesn't hurt to have a guy who is 35 minutes down the road.
See, I've never looked at the inner workings of the college baseball selection committee. Obviously, the college football one, that's a whole different story. But I didn't know that you could have a rabbit in the hat, so to speak, with the college baseball. So good to have some information about that, if any at all. I'll go join the committee, see what I can do. But I didn't know that it worked that way. Everything's politics. But continue with the LSU baseball conversation real quick. Obviously, you saw how they played in Hoover. You see the quick start that they get out to that felt like they had to win one game was the common consensus, or that's what it became. LSU's able to get a win. But in that same vein, after, I guess, 4 innings of the offense looking pretty sharp, putting up some runs, you've seen them go cold. Do you have any worry, I guess you could say, about the LSU offense? I know you've seen it kind of go – it's kind of a seesawed back and forth of being dominant, being able to score. They average 10 runs a game for the early part of the year. Then you've seen it go stagnant for a little bit. I just didn't know if you had any insight on the LSU baseball offense and if there is any cause for concern for this regional.
Well, that's always the question. What do you carry over from the SEC tournament? What do you not carry over from the SEC tournament? I certainly think LSU would like to carry over all the pitching that they had. For the most part, I think they were very happy with what they got. Especially out of some guys who had not seen a lot of action. Let's see, who pitched on Saturday against Ole Miss. They led off with Jaden Newt. And then the other 2 guys they brought in out of the pen, I think, through 5 shutout innings over the final bit of the game there. Ole Miss only scored 2 runs the entire ball game. But from the offensive standpoint of things, to only score no runs, the final 15 innings, and only have 2 hits the final 15 innings. That's not what you want. But then at the same time, you say, well, you're going up against SEC competition, and you're not going to be seeing SEC competition this weekend, and you're going to be at home, and you're going to have all those fans on your side. And although I think we're getting some unseasonably cool weather on Saturday, I think we got a front coming in or something. We're going to be in the 60s on Saturday morning, but typically – this time of year, the box is so hot and humid, and opposing teams, sometimes with the crowd and the heat, they just wither and vanish. So, that's not what you want offensively to close out the SEC tournament. But at the same time, I guess I'm going to have to take the competition into consideration. And also, like what Jay said, Ole Miss had done a pretty good job shutting teams down over there. But obviously your offense can't be that inconsistent, and you want to try to win it all. So we'll see. You need somebody to come through with some clutch hits. This is a time of year where perhaps somebody who has not been a hero in the past can emerge and do big things. I was talking to Blake Dean yesterday, and certainly, Jared Mitchell was an outstanding player at LSU, but in the College World Series, he just went on an absolute tear and became the MVP of the whole thing. And so that's what can happen sometimes. A Josh Pearson, another veteran player. What can they do in these clutch spots? That's where you really earn your fame. And really, you take a look at it, and Blake Dean said it's unfair. Maybe it's a terrible way to look at it, but no matter how many games you've won to this point, no matter what your record is at this point, you're defined on the next 2 weeks of the season. Did you make it to Omaha or not? And it's an interesting spot for Jay Johnson. They can make it to Omaha for the second time in 3 years, or they cannot make it to Omaha for 3 times in 4 years under Jay Johnson as the head coach. So I would say it's a pivotal postseason, because I know he's going to be here for a long time and do a great job. But just the way the first 4 years are viewed, I think it's kind kind of crucial.
Well, and that's what leads me. I saw that there was some Smoke Laval smoke that was coming around that he might return to coaching, and that kind of leads me to that question of, I guess nobody wants to be the guy after the guy, and that was Smoke's job after Skip Bertman went to be athletic director. Then he was appointed LSU baseball coach, and he didn't have a bad run at LSU. It just wasn't what LSU was accustomed to. Do you think that's part of the unfair expectations that even after, I mean, obviously Paul Mainieri wins a national championship, multiple SEC championships. Do you think that Jay Johnson's in that same spot? Because to me, it still feels like he hasn't won over the majority of the fan base for some reason.
Well, Smoke would say, yes and no. See, yes and no. That's our guy, Smoke. I enjoyed covering Smoke. Smoke knows more baseball, or forgot more baseball than we'll ever know. He did have an impossible task coming in after Bertman, and he had 5 years at LSU. He went to Omaha twice. The problem is he didn't win any games in Omaha. They went 0-2. And then, the way it was trending, by his fifth year, they had missed the NCAA tournament altogether, which at LSU is a felony if you're the head baseball coach. And then obviously Paul Mainieri's first year at LSU, they didn't make the tournament. They went back-to-back years, 06, 07, not making the NCAA tournament. And so the way it was trending, I think, they had to make a move, and they had to change. Although Smoke did leave him a collection of players a nugget, so to speak, that helped him win the national championship in 2009. The roster top to bottom was totally lacking. And so I think if you go to Omaha every other year, and I think that's a tough expectation in itself, but if you do kind of what Mainieri did over his 10-year stretch from 08 to 17, where you went to Omaha 5 times, you won a national title, you made a national final, I think that's a pretty good run. And no one's really winning multiple national titles. I think Paul Casey did it at Oregon State, South Carolina way back in 10 and 11, I think it was, won back-to-back or something like that. So no one's really having a dynasty these days. I think, I think LSU expectations this year, you can look at them two different ways. You can look at them as the fact that we've never been more spoiled as a fan base. We can't be happy unless the team wins a national title. Or you can also look at it as we've never put up more money than we have for tickets and for coaches especially, and for facilities and this and that. And we demand more of the players themselves earning money. So I don't know if he hasn't won over the fan base. I think most people feel like he's the best guy for the job, and no one's going to work harder and no one's going to care more. Maybe some of his decisions from this point forward will be questioned just like any other coach. But it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot to say the guy won a national championship in his second year on the job, and some people are questioning if he's the right guy or not. Certainly there were a lot of talented players that were left behind from the Paul Mainieri era, but at the same time, I don't, who knows, but I don't think LSU was going to win a national title moving forward with Coach Mainieri after, that season, after his final season. I think it had gotten a little stale and they needed to pump some new life into it. So Coach Mainieri may or may not disagree with that. I'm not sure, but that's just kind of the way I see it.
But Jack, he won with my players.
A lot of guys on that roster.
He won with my
Nolan
players.
Kane and I recruited 9 of the 10 starters on this team tonight.
I guess you would be frustrated in a sense of like, I recruited all of those guys. Like, well, you also added some pieces, so I can see Paul having a little bit of a sentiment like, that's my roster. But
yeah, I mean, well, how would he have gone out and gotten a Tommy White? Would he have gone out and gotten a Paul Skeens? I think Coach Mainieri, to his credit, is big on loyalty, and I don't, from people in the know, he would have felt kind of bad about stealing other people's players, and I can admire that take and the way he looks at that, if that's the way he looks at it. I talking to Blake Dean yesterday, it was funny. Blake says, I had the Southland Conference Hitter of the Year 3 years in a row, and 3 years in a row they left and went somewhere else. After the year was over, and I can't blame them. If they're going to get 150, 200,000, whatever they're getting to play another gig. So you're here, this NIL transfer portal stuff you're hearing about now well, you feel like he or she, the last month of the season, was tapped out, not focused on what was going on. A backdoor deal was made, and as soon as the season's over with, they're hitting the portal, going to another school. I mean, these are the things that are not healthy for the sport. They're not healthy for teamwork and camaraderie and all those different things. So, but for LSU, if you're an LSU fan, you really didn't complain a whole lot at the beginning of the NIL because you won a national championship in women's basketball, in which you had 7 transfers: the Angel Reeses, the Jasmine Carsons, Alexis Morris, the Deja Williams, all these players that came in. And then baseball, Coach Maneri certainly left LSU a loaded deck in many cases with the Trey Morgans, the Dylan Cruzes, the Braden Jobears on down the line. But then you supplement that with the Tommy White and Paul Skeens, Riley Cooper, right? Guys like that. Ackenhausen, that was
a Jay Johnson transfer.
That was a Jay Johnson guy that they brought in. So
JUCO guy.
I mean, you just think how hard it is to win the thing. I mean, we were there in 2023. I mean, every night the media is like, well, I guess we're going to stay in our hotel one more night. I mean, we're about to be on the phone to book our flight back or, check out the hotel every night in that losers bracket for a bit there. And Nate Ackenhausen has to go out there and pitch as a starter for the first time ever, 6 innings against Tennessee, and does a fantastic job, and they stay alive. Those are the kind of the heroes that have to emerge for you to win this thing.
Oh, speaking of coverage, if it does get to that point, obviously regional, super regional, not too much travel for you, but when it gets to, if there is an Omaha trip and waiting in the wings, would that be a tag team effort as Eads earned the vote of confidence to be able to go to an Omaha trip? Because I know he would want to, and he's covered this LSU baseball team with fervor.
Yeah, he's earned that by far. Done an amazing job covering the team. And look, it's the best job in the world. I mean, I did it, and other people have done it over the years. But it's also a very physical job when you're on your feet shooting a game for 3.5, 4 hours. You're walking up and down stadiums to your car. You're carrying gear. You're one-man banding with the tripod, the camera. You're playing reporter. You're playing photographer. You're doing a lot of different things. But it's a dream scenario when you're enjoying yourself and one-man band. A one-man band the team for 10 straight days in Omaha, and then when they made it to the championship series, we had some other people come in and help us finish the job in a great way. But he's done an amazing job. I'm not going to be one. Steve Schneider, who I worked for, the sports director for many years, who taught me so much. I mean, he would, he'd hand it off to me, whatever the sport was, and he'd always be like, look, I'm not going to, at the last second, when the team makes it to the Final Four or the national championship in football or the World Series, step in and start taking all the glory and push the other guy out of the way. So certainly I'm not going to do that. I'd batted around the idea of maybe going up there with him and like maybe doing some fan stories and stuff. Mike Scarborough is already texting us and saying, please, God, do not do the Jello shot story if LSU makes it to Omaha. That's one of those things where eventually you hear, well, why isn't anyone doing the Jello shot story? Why aren't we doing that? And then you do it, and some people are like, oh God, this again. But I think at this point he would go solo, and then maybe if they make it far, we maybe go up and help later. But he's done an amazing job learning how to, shoot I never got good at trying to shoot a game and finding the ball off the bat and following it through the air over the fence and everything like that. Maybe at nighttime the ball, you can see it on the dark sky a little better. But people like Sharif Ishak, Chris Hagan, Craig Loper, going back to James Verrett, Mark Winfrey, guys I worked with, they could do that. I've never been able to do that. So he's picked up on that, and he will do a fantastic job if LSU makes it. Got to make it there first.
Yep. That's right.
Yep.
And speaking of if, there was obviously a lot of conjecture around LSU softball since the last time we've talked. Mm-hmm. And Beth Torina is able to, I guess she still has her job, it feels like. A lot of people calling for a head. It doesn't seem like it has rolled yet. You see, and then you get the news of Sydney Berzon enters the portal, and you see LSU softball trying to play this portal game. Do you have any updates on anything regarding LSU softball since the last time we spoke? I think it was 5 days to the day, and we had just missed it. The news came out after.
And a lot of
Yeah, I think I talked to Noah maybe last week, but certainly the administration was not happy with what happened in the regional. They were very disappointed. They in a time where they take a lot of pride in their brand and who we are. Losing to in-state schools in the postseason is not good, and it happened a couple years back when LSU only needed one win to get out of the regional, and then the Cajuns beat them 2 games in a row. And then in this case, to get beat 2 games in a row by Southeastern, didn't like that. And so I'll say real quick about this. There's been a lot of Twitter and this and that about, Beth doesn't have enough in-state girls, and she hates in-state girls and this and that. And, certainly Southeastern had a fantastic year, winning over 50 games and coming in and shocking LSU. But they weren't quite ready for Nebraska, were they, in those 2 games? So just to load up your team with in-state people is not, an automatic berth to the College World Series. I think that, a Sydney Berzon situation, I think that's another thing that's disappointing. I mean, she came to LSU because she loves the coaches, and she loved LSU, and I thought they had a great relationship, and that you saw Tarina go on like an in-game interview and really stick up for Berzon because she had heard that maybe the broadcasters were breaking down her pitching efforts and criticizing them. And, she was an All-American. Did she win a ton of huge games at LSU in those big spots? Maybe not in terms of like trying to make it to the World Series and whatnot. I still think LSU has been chasing the Carly Hoover, Allie Walljasper duo that they had when they made all these World Series trips. They're still looking for that kind of tandem. So Berzon, you're hearing about a bidding war and things going on out there. They in the last couple of days they've gotten a couple of girls out of the portal. The girl from Mississippi State yesterday, was a 290 batter, had 9 home runs, 37 RBI, and then a pitcher from San Diego State who I think had an 18-8 record, a 2.2 ERA. So how is San Diego State going to translate to the SEC? I'm not sure. I think another person to keep your eye on is it Kennedy Marceau, the young lady from Alabama who hit the portal. She's from Kaplan, Louisiana, right down the road from where my dad grew up there in Vermilion Parish. Went to Alabama initially. She's in the portal. I think LSU's got interest in her. Certainly, I think the Raging Cajuns would love to bring her home. So I think it's another player that could join the roster perhaps. So yeah, and this is not making excuses for what's been going on, but I don't think LSU has been given or has a tremendous amount of NIL money for their softball program. You look at Texas Tech. I think I heard them spend an inordinate amount of money to get the pitch up to Stanford. And a lot of these programs are spending money on softball players to bring them in, and I don't know where LSU is on that. I don't think they have much NIL money, and so I know some of these struggles. And look, they went to the World Series with Beth 3 straight years from 15, 16, 17, 18. They win the first game of the Super Regional. There's some weather stuff that goes on. They force them to play 2 games in one day. Heartbreak, they don't make it. 19 Super Regional on the road. Can't quite get it. 2020, COVID wipes them out. 2021 Super Regional at home. They lose a couple of 1-run games to Florida State. So, I mean, they have been right there in terms of making it back to Oklahoma City. Last year, 1 win away. Can't beat Stanford in 2 games after winning the first. So they've gone through a lot of heartache, and they are a top, 10, 15 program throughout the year. The postseason stuff's been disappointing. So I don't think LSU is in the position to say, hey, we're going to fire the softball coach and give her $1.4 million to go away and hire another coach. They're not rolling in money out there. So I think if this happens again next year, if they lose 2 games at home in a regional, and especially if it's to an in-state team, I think there's a strong possibility a change will be made. But as of now, they decide they have a lot of players coming back. They've got a big recruiting class coming in, and they're going to give Beth Tarina will have her 15th year at LSU.
One quick pivot before we get you out of here. I just saw this. Obviously, a former guy that worked in Louisiana, Ross Dellinger, comes out with the story on Yahoo about the potential of the SEC leaving the NCAA. I just wanted to get a thought from your perspective. I know how you feel about NIL. I know how you feel about the struggle that college football and college athletics has become with the money. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on what maybe would be the SEC becoming its own entity and dissolving from the NCAA.
Well, hey, Andre, I'm not trying to be Paw JD over here. I'm not trying to say, and Lloyd, well, it used to be this way, and the players, I'd like them to get paid, and if they sell a bunch of jerseys and I'm number 7 and a bunch of number 7s are getting sold, I think those people deserve some money from it. I think I've brought up on this show already, like football guys are on full scholarship, and I've talked to college kids about how much money does it cost to go to LSU, and they're telling me $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. And, these football guys are going for free, and a lot of them will not make it to the NFL or play at the next level, and their education's free and their food and everything. I think they're pretty well taken care of. But to see so the SEC, if they break away from the NCAA as their own, 16-team
mega
thing,
conference, pretty much.
And who they're going to play? Just
I think the Big
themselves?
Ten also. I think
Yeah,
the
be
Big
the
Ten
Big Ten and the SEC
also,
that want to form an alliance and play each other.
Well, that's been a rumor for a while, right? That this would go from, I think there's 136 or something, 38 teams that play D1 football, that they would make this 40-team Super League or something like that. And look, I like the underdog story that we would get every now and then. The Kellen Moore, right? The Boise States, the Southern Misses of the 1990s with Brett Favre. You would get sometimes, these mid-majors would have a shot to knock off the big boys here and there and have good seasons and get in the hunt. But that at this point is just it's just going to go away. I mean, the rich are going to get richer, and if that's the best thing for everyone to make the most money, I guess we're heading in that direction. I think certainly fans have pushed back more and more on LSU playing, even if it's an in-state team, to scratch their back and give them some money in a nickel state, a Southeastern, a McNeese, whatever the case may be. Fans just don't want to see those kind of games. They want to see LSU play teams that are a threat to beat them, I guess is the best way to put it. So with it, and then what's the playoff?
All year.
What does that look like?
That's a big round robin.
Yeah. Like at that point, it's
Yeah.
just a tournament. Yeah.
If it's more like the NFL and you can lose more games. I mean, certainly you can lose more games now than you used to. Although I think if LSU loses to Clemson, I think that you're kind of in a spot where you got to go 10-1 or 10-1 the rest of the way. And to get into the playoff, although we had 9-3 teams get in last year, and I think the quality of the playoff, I think some people would say was not great. Some of those opening round games were duds. A lot of them were. So, I'll be here to cover it no matter what happens. But, it's funny. I joked. I said, have you ever been in a cyber truck before? I took a ride one the other day. It goes from like 0 to 85 in like 2 seconds. And it's like a rocket ship. That's what the NCAA has done like in the last 5 years. They went from no change at all whatsoever to all these changes at once. It's too much change at once. And they've gone from a turtle to a cyber truck in that quick a time.
With the same people driving.
Same people. That's right. What's Mark Emmert up to these days? What's he up? What's he doing? Hadn't seen him in a bit, but the NCAA for years is. I was never like a hammer the NCAA guy. I enjoyed the sports and didn't see a huge problem with them. But there are some people that have for years just said they're a terrible, greedy organization, and so we'll see how they can continue with the college football.
And we're nearly 2 months, I believe, almost 2 months to the day from Red Rock and Blue. If you want to give us some softball teams updates, what you have going on with Red Rock and Blue, we'd love to hear it. See any way we can help now with Tingle and Co.
All right. Well, we just started softball team registration, our slow pitch softball tournament, 31st annual this summer, and it'll take place at Rex Oak Villa from July 25th through the 27th, probably just the 26th and 27th. Typically, it's a 2-day tournament. Everyone is guaranteed at least 3 games. We have all different categories. If you just want to, get some of your business people together and throw together a team. We'll put you up against competition. Hopefully that's about of the same caliber. We won't put you up against the 20-year-old Cajun kids that are going to come in and beat you 20-1. And so we try to, we have different classifications, and you can register your team right now, redrockandblue.com, co-ed, rec, whatever your classification. And the Kade reunion, we've already sold a nice amount of tables on that. That's going to be August the 9th at the Texas Club. If you want to reserve your table today and see Allison Collins, Blueverse, Amos Moses, and Werewolf are all on the Kade Reunion 3. That's been a big hit for us. My good friend Ben Cassio, it was his idea to do this show, and it's drawn big crowds the first 2 years and drawn and raised a lot of money for Red Rock and Blue. So those tickets are available. Go to the Texas Club website today to get your tickets or tables, and we'll see you then. And it's not too late to sponsor, although the deadline of sponsors is about a week or two away. So I'm easy to find. If you want to put your name on Red Rock and Blue, contact me today.
And easy to find on Twitter.
Yeah, man. I told you when I write my book one day, I'm going to have a chapter. It's going to be called Promotes Primes X. And
you need to get the interview, whoever it was.
I'm ready for that
We need
book.
to find whoever it was and see if we can get it forward.
4 months, 4 months, I was my thing got hacked, and my Twitter got hacked, and I'm like, am I ever going to get this back? And thank God for Cody Worsham. I did send him a bottle of Jack Daniels with LSU on it and sent it to USC. Hopefully he got it. So as a thank you.
I think Coach O left
Cody
it.
may not drink. I don't know. He went to Parkview Baptist, I think.
Oh.
Why are you sending me this poison?
JD,
Somebody else.
Thank you for everything. Thanks for hopping on with us. Always a pleasure. And I guess I'll see you around the box this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Talk to you later.
All right. That was the man himself, JD. We will be right back to shut this thing down, as I don't think Noah's going to return or not. I think he went straight to vacation mode. So we're going to come right back, close this thing down, and then we will see y'all again tomorrow.
Astounded, drive by and let it ride like a whip in a Tesla. Pressure never fazed me cause I'm bigger than pressure. I'm on my grind, bullshit, can't fit in my schedule. I'ma do what's best with me, you can keep all your lectures. Spend the summer stacking bread, might be gone till November. Pulling up like Trey Young just to freeze up December. I got niggas on the blood like traditional sinners. OGs love me so I hang with traditional winners. I took a break for a minute, I had to go charge up. Had to focus on my business, I'm coming back smarter. Hit up DJ, tell him go like I'm dropping the Carter. Coming back like KD, it's time to go harder. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. They say that life's a marathon, man, shout out to Nip. They start to think you falling off and they starting to flip. Circumstances start to change and they jump in the ship. Only ones that really matter who's tied to your hip. They tried to push you to the side cause they thought you would quit. May bend but never break, your cloth is legit. When you return in rare form, they all gonna be sick. You ever seen a living legend, just know that I'm it. Slow grind like IT, just know that I'm it. Now I'm back up in my bag, I'm giving them fits. Bounce back like John Morant, you know that I'm lit. Making plays like Jack Bash, I'm never gonna sit. Had to be patient, so I waited for the situation. Now that I'm focused, I'ma take it with no hesitation. The hard times that I hated gave me inspiration. Look in the eyes from my kids gave me motivation. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up.
Oh, I get the cross soon this time. All right, welcome back in, Tingle & Co. We are going to shut it down real quick. Wanted to get into this conversation before we close the whole thing out, me and Andre Champagne. But I don't know if you've seen this, Andre. A lot of conjecture on Twitter recently as a TCU. I don't know if he works for TCU. I don't know if he just is kowtowing or if he's trying to do rage bait for TCU.
I think he's an SEC hater is what he is.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more conference.
That's what it looked like. Do you have those tweets up?
I have this one that started the whole thing off.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so how to be like an SEC baseball school. Move your fences in 30 feet. Yeah, if you're Tennessee, maybe. Schedule 1 non-con tourney. Okay. Schedule the rest as non-con scrubs. Okay, wow. Well, considering that everyone around in baseball schedules non-conference pretty much scrubs at home, you play the teams that surround you. And for LSU's case, they played in-state teams that were awful this year. And usually you get probably three or four teams that make the tournament that LSU faces. So that's just completely wrong. And not to mention, I want to say Tennessee lost to an in-state East Tennessee State this year.
LSU got 10 run by Northwestern State.
Exactly, man. And they're not even making the tournament.
No.
Exactly. So, like, if only they knew the constant grind of facing an SEC team week in and week out. I'm sorry, TCU, you get to face, give me a Big 12 team that's just awful this year.
Yeah, Baylor in baseball, I'm sure, is excellent.
Yeah. I mean,
this was the one that I think sent people mostly.
Oh, here we go.
Because you go straight at LSU. LSU fans are coping hard with the fact that TCU are their equal with the last 15 years.
Oh my goodness.
And he goes on to list a ton of reasons why they are the exact same.
0 titles for TCU, by the way.
None.
LSU has 7 titles. And if you want to look at, what was it, 2017 where TCU, or no, it was 2016 or 15 where Alex Bregman, that infamous play, I'm sure you remember that play, when TCU beat LSU. Jared Poche, I believe, had what pretty much lost them the game, set the tone, was Jared Poche. He fielded a ground ball, completely threw it over the first baseman's head. And TCU beat LSU that year. And so if you want to look at it in Omaha, I mean, maybe they beat us once or twice.
Well, they've never even made it to a national championship.
But they've never
even not even a series.
So why?
And LSU. So he goes on for that. I guess for the sake of this conversation,
you know what this sounds like? It sounds like UL fans.
This is a lot in that same vein.
And I know we could get a lot of heat with that, but so I'm only going to say they're starting to sound like little brother syndrome.
Yeah, I don't know where this is coming from because I've never
rage bait.
Yeah, I've never. But it's just funny that LSU is one that you pick. Especially, there's a reason the reason he wanted to go after LSU and say TCU and LSU. LSU has the history. TCU does not. They have College World Series appearances in 16, 17, and 2023. Fantastic. Still 0 national championships. And then his big pivot point to everybody was like Paul Skeens. And it's like, well, Paul Skeens could have gone to TCU.
Dude, Paul Skeens didn't even pitch in the final game. He was like, if you guys didn't have Paul Skeens in Omaha, you guys would be done with. And I think an Arkansas fan said that, or he was like, you guys would have been
seeing
just
SEC fans come out the woodwork for LSU.
He said LSU would just be Arkansas without Paul Skeens. I'm like, buddy, do you remember that LSU pitched without Paul Skeens all 3 games against Florida? So. Ty Floyd, 17 strikeouts. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
But I just thought it was
interesting. Did TCU make Omaha the year 2023?
Yes.
They did?
I
wish we would have.
Never saw them.
That would have been an easy, 9 innings. You would have been able to.
Just get cooked, buddy.
Probably been able to pitch anyone
at
that
point. You have this has just come across the wires, where the pair, the regional winner projections, and it has LSU, obviously the one of our interest.
Yeah.
And then it has, obviously, your chance to win the national championship as well. But I just wanted to get the quick look at what people will think.
Pair
yes.
regional winners?
No, so they do all the metrics.
This is this betting or is this?
This is just stats to see, your metrics to win your regional. And so, as everybody would expect, it's pretty much
pretty green for LSU.
Yeah. There they are, 68%.
68.
And you go across, whenever we looked at the hardest regionals yesterday, this is something that we could have pointed to as well, because you have Clemson 46%, Ole Miss 36%, Georgia 62% playing at home, Tennessee 73%, Arkansas with 80%. And so LSU not maybe the most favorable regional as people were projecting because you do have a DBU in there.
Western Kentucky getting 31% in that Oxford regional. That's a little weird. Over Georgia Tech, that's surprising. Dang.
And then you have Vanderbilt, Texas. So all of the number 1 seeds are obviously favored to win it. But I think the numbers were closer than you would expect, especially UCLA. But LSU sits very comfortably atop theirs at 68%. Mm-hmm. And I would like to see that. I wonder if this bears out more for a national championship because I've seen that one as well. LSU, obviously, I think the second highest betting favorite to win the national championship.
Second favorite behind Vanderbilt right
yes.
now. So, or Arkansas, it's one of those teams. But honestly, if you're LSU, you got to feel good because Vanderbilt didn't get the best draw, in my opinion, and they're the first national seed. They got an ETSU team that beat Tennessee earlier this season. They got a Louisville team that beat them earlier this season as well. So you have two teams that know they can compete with those SEC teams. And then Texas, I would say they got an easier pool than Vanderbilt did. So I would feel a little disrespected if I was Vanderbilt right now.
Texas, UTSA, Kansas State, Houston Christian, just their regional.
I don't understand how UCLA got the easy regional they did. They got the last team in with Arizona State, and then they got UC Irvine. I mean, Irvine's good. Don't get me wrong.
That's
but
all West Coast ball, baby.
It is, but UCLA didn't even deserve to host, much less get up. You know, they should have sent probably an SEC team out west.
Yeah, well, that's where it gets into
the regional things,
geographical.
You know,
I think every LSU fan, at least, will look always not so fondly upon UCLA in their regional. We had Jacques come in and talk about that as well. They didn't even know where the stadium was, but you ran into a buzzsaw with Trevor Bauer and I forget the other guy I always do, but they had two studs that LSU had to play against that did not fare well as against their small ball.
Is it on the West Coast?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you want to do this best dressed regional?
I'm about to hop into this Athletic Connections.
Okay,
let's pulled up. We're going to save that because I do think that there's a lot of content there for the best
tomorrow.
Uniforms in a regional. Yes, and that's something that I think we could kind of
we
could squeeze some fruit out of.
We could definitely do a little connections today.
Now let's see how we fare without Noah.
I think
my first time I feel like I'm cheating on him.
I know, man. This is
new partner. Let's see.
Okay, here we go.
Well, let me get it set up.
I might be great or awful. There's going to be no in between. Okay.
And I'll zoom in for the people.
All right.
There we go.
All right. So off the bat, I see Knicks, Liberty. Hold on.
That's what I'm saying. This is a thing that you take your time on it because you don't want to. There's things that they try to trick you.
Teams from New York, right? Like
Knicks, Liberty, Nets,
right? I don't know. Red Storm. I don't really.
That's what always gets us to. There's always one thing in there that you just don't know what it is. But I'm not against picking it to see if it's a.
Okay, I have the first one that we could probably do. Okay, so yeah, Krzyzewski, Calhoun, Boeheim, and Harbaugh maybe. Is that all coaches, right?
Those are all coaches, 3 of which are in college basketball.
Yeah, so I see Mora on the right, but I think he was football.
Yeah, so Mora and Harbaugh both football.
Hmm.
But maybe these are guys that have won a championship. Harbaugh would be in that conversation.
Could be.
But that would be an NFL. Well, I guess no, he won it at Michigan. Let's see. Let's get one on the board.
We could try.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Should we do Liberty, Knicks, Red Storm, and Nets? I feel like those are all New York teams.
Here we go.
All right.
What are the Red Storm?
Hockey, maybe? Probably not.
Garrett Cole.
They're going to flame me, bro. They're going to flame me. Okay. Strikeout.
St. John's or the Red Storm?
Red Storm. Yeah, St. John's. Okay. Critical.
Integral. Vital.
Key. Okay. We got 2. All right.
On the board.
That was nice.
On the board.
Good stuff. Kilometer. Like, what? Kilometer just comes in. It's like.
Yeah. The coaches still stare right at you. Strikeout doesn't feel like it belongs, but it could be.
It could be. So we could have a name in there that we just don't know.
No, it'd be like a
strikeout kicker, right? Those two have to go together.
That's what I'm trying to find the other one that would go with that. Let's see. St. John's. I know it. I know that now. I don't call them the Red Storm. I just know Miss St. John's. When you're that heralded of a program, I don't have to know the Red Storm. But now I do.
We might have to phone a friend with Noah at this point.
No, we can get this. There's too much on the board here. See, I don't know what it is, though.
I don't know. We might just have to throw in a random one.
I know that this up to now makes sense.
Those 3. But we might have to guess. Did you put Mora in those?
No.
Maybe.
But it's something else. It's not, they're not just
yeah.
listing coaches.
I don't know, Lloyd. I really don't. I think kilometer and kicker are throwing me off. Those are the ones kick.
Oh, did you throw KK? I see that. Kilometer, Krasetsky,
K,
kicker. And would you go strike out a K?
Oh, that'd be a good one.
That would be a twist.
I think that's worth it.
Hunter Hall. Let's see.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
Nice. Now I'm interested to see what Mora has to do with this. UCLA?
Famous.
Oh, Jim. All Jims.
Jim.
Nice.
There you go.
Hey, still a win. Still
a win. It wasn't my best outing.
Hunter Hall, you might want to watch yourself. I'm glad you threw that 4th K in there, brother. Playing a dangerous game.
That was clutch. But that's going to wrap it up for us today, right?
Yes. And we'll be back tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow, 7 to 9. Same crew, baby.
Same crew.
We're gonna
glad you got your whip back.
Yeah.
Shout
out the dealership, even though it's kind of like not shout out.
Yeah. Well, you go to the dealership, they will rake you over the coals.
Well, it happened.
They did.
But the car's back. Lloyd doesn't have to come get me anymore.
That was a throwback to a different day.
Yeah.
And when I was chauffeuring Stewie around for 6 months.
Shout out Stewie, man.
You do it to make the show happen.
Yeah.
Do what you can.
Exactly. But we'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. And this has been Tingle & Co.
We ride.
It's Tingle & Co. From 7 to 9. Come keep with the show. It's a new era. Let's get it, let's go. From 7 to 9. It's Tingle & Co. What up, Lloyd? What up, Lloyd? You can call me him. I'm Shay Dixon in the whip with them RPMs. Gotta pull up to the chat and shit out to them. Not trying to ball like Big 4, then get out the gym. Monday through Friday from